revitalization, what does that cover?
It's a very broad category. Anything that's kind of broke down in the city that needs to be revitalized. I know one, they have a ball field and their light poles are falling down. They want to revitalize the ball field with new light posts. Just one example.
And when me and you talked about a walking track out here, okay? Was any of that covered?
Yeah. So that's a community infrastructure, a good place to walk around. You know, a playground is community revitalization. It's that would probably be community infrastructure improvements. So, you know.
Yeah, the city takes care of the wildlife refuge over there, the TVA over there. Can any of that money be used for that?
It's owned by TVA. We don't own it.
Yeah, but we take care of it. We cut the grass, garbage, all that stuff, and some of that money be used for that.
If a property is on a long lease.
Yeah, but TVA doesn't allow us to do anything on the property.
Okay. So I guess that's your answer.
Okay, I'm just curious.
If TVA is expressly forbidding you to do something there, I guess that.
Well, like I said, like it costs the city money to keep it up.
TVA.
Keep it low.
So it's not for running costs.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so it's not like one of these is not like operating costs, like trying to keep up our city properties or so forth. It's not that. You can't use it to pay your mayor or your fire department. You know, like it's not for staffing costs or anything. It's for right.
Okay.
It's for a facelift for something that needs to be, you know, rehab or a new, you know, pavilion that the community is going to use and love and appreciate. So, you know, that's some examples. Any other thoughts along those lines? Okay, so moving down. So we have three categories, as I mentioned before. The first is 51% low and moderate income individuals. So if the community doesn't have 51%, you can't be eligible for that. But there are certain ways that we can send out. So this is very bureaucratic. And so in Washington, D.C., HUD has their own way of calling around to communities, and every year they call and they come up with their latest numbers, and every city has their number. Now, some places, it just kind of surprises you. They say that it has higher income than another place. Well, why does it have higher income? Well, maybe they just call 5 people and they were all rich. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And then another place had really low income. You're like, I know that's not right. They just managed to call the lower income people. And so there's another way we can approach it is to go around and do a survey. And that's just a basic questionnaire saying, how many people live in your house? What's your income for the house?
And on Marion County website, it tells you what the regular income is here on.
Yeah, but
they don't go by that.
Yeah, they don't go by that. So either you can take the HUD data, or you can go around and survey the community. And we can do different ways to do the survey. Walk around and knock on doors. Hey, would you all just help us with a couple of questions and then move on? Or we can also send them out to through the mail. But the one thing we have to do is be random about it. You can't just say, what is our area of town that, see, in this case, the lower the income, the better. So you can't just say, we're just going to go to that one low income area and just saturate it. That doesn't work.
What's considered moderate?
Yeah, what's the threshold as far as income?
Every city is different. So it's just crazy the way it goes. But if you have household income like 25,000 to 35,000, like in that range, that would be considered very low. Mm-hmm. But understanding that some areas are more expensive to live in than other places, that same figure, if it was in a downtown Nashville, that would be extreme poverty because they can't afford anything because the rents are so high.
Right, yeah.
So that's what I'm saying, it's a little bit complex. So that's one thing that we consider. We want to go under that category of low to medium income. Now, eradication of slums and blight, now, you don't have to go under the low and medium income if you want to get rid of slums and blight. So let me give you an example of that. In Whitwell, they have an old middle school. I don't know if you've seen it up on the hill.
Yeah.
And if you go and look through the windows, you can see that there are all kind of animals in there and so forth. That is blighted property. That's an example of something that you can't help. You just have to take it down. So that would be a demolition project. And given the age of that particular high school, you probably need to make sure that you didn't get any of that asbestos and so forth. So it would be a big project. So that's eradication of slums and blight. I don't know if y'all have any of that type of project that comes to mind, but that could certainly qualify. So the next one is elimination of imminent threat. So imminent threat. So one thing that Mayor and I have talked about a little bit is the need for a shelter, a storm shelter. So I started to dig into that. If the storm shelter could also be like a community center, and so it could have like dual purpose, but in the time of a tornado or a flooding situation or whatever, the folks could come over to the storm shelter and take cover. And, there'd be bathroom facilities there, you could have some water and you could cook something if you needed to, depending on how long the threat was. But what they're saying about this imminent threat is that you would have to show that you had a tornado or a flood situation in the past 18 months. So they don't want to say, at some time in the future, we want to be prepared for everything that could happen. We need to tie it to some specific activity, some specific threat.
We've had a couple of tornadoes come right through here.
Is that pretty recent?
One of the last ones.
It's been more than 4 years.
I think, how long ago was it?
Like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
7 years.
Yeah. We tore a bunch of crap up through here.
If you're doing a survey for the community, looking for the meeting, like, do you have a number of people that you have to survey?
Yeah, we have that. There's a formula. I didn't bring that. We'll just have to. I know for another town, they had to do 150 surveys, so it's not overwhelming. What's the population of the city?
About 5,000.
Yeah, about 1,000 people.
1,000 people. There'd probably be more than that. A couple hundred. I mean, it's not.
Is it a
What we often do there is we have.
Is it a percent of the total
It's
population?
Every HUD dictates
They're
what the
specific.
percentage is, and I will communicate that to everybody. But it's just a weird formula. So if we want to get scored better, that's probably what we would do. Go ahead and do that survey. But in terms of that, if you are eradicating slums and blight, you don't have to fall below the 51% low and medium income level. And if you're eliminating imminent threat, you don't need to fall below. So then the next thing I wanted to mention is, so the normal funding limits for a construction project are $1 million. So you can't go over that. And for non-construction, it's $420,000. So what's non-construction? Let's say you're going to buy a generator. You're not constructing anything, it's just a piece of equipment. So that would be in that category. The applications are due on the 20th of March, so we have time to put it all together. And for New Hope, it's a 15% match requirement. So the city is responsible for 15% of whatever you ask for. One other thing I want to just mention is if you put in a very large grant, like if you're asking for $1 million and you only have 1,000 people, they're going to divide the overall grant by the number of people. And if that number is very high, then that goes against you. So there's a sweet spot. And when we understand exactly what your project is and what the price range is going to be, then we can go back to the state and we can say, based on their population and so forth, what does their budget need to be? Does it need to be, more in the 800,000 range or lower than that? Or, they can give advice about what will be competitive, because you're going up against all these other cities and they're just going to, choose whichever has, shows the most benefit.
On that 15% match, is it over a period of time you pay that 15%, or you have to have that fund?
They want you to, I don't know the answer to that. So over what period of time you have to pay it. But I know that you have to, the city has to say that it will pay that. So there needs to be a letter from the mayor. No, we need a resolution from the city that says that. So over what period of time it needs to be paid, I'll find that out. So I guess the purpose of the meeting is now to have a discussion about what do you think your priorities are given this type of project. And we're just going to listen to the community and just take notes and see what rises to the top and then kind of go down that line. So.
Whoever wants to speak up.
Well, I think as far as infrastructure, we use like Mail Loop Road as a perfect example.
I got a $25,000 grant that I just got to help do some work on a little grant back there. This right here won't pay for new Mail Loop Road, I'm saying. Will this right here pave a road or anything like that?
It's an infrastructure project.
Yeah, if that paves,
The city will.
That's what we're talking about paving.
The back side of it.
I thought you was talking about just repairing some stuff. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that road's been not blacktop and stuff for years and years and years. I don't know when the last time it ever was blacktop, y'all. Anybody here remember? And I don't remember anything. I've been here all my life, so we need to fix it. And I've asked the county about fixing it before, and they didn't have any grants or anything we could apply for. But yes, we do have. How many miles do you think it is?
Oh, maybe 2.
Yeah.
Mile and a half.
It's probably close to probably.
How many houses is it?
There's no house, there's one house, but there's a guy that's building a house around there, he's been building it for the last 3 or 4 years. And that's the thing about it, it is a city road, and we need to fix it up.
Fix it up, might be more houses.
Is it one specific?
not on the right side,
Can we
not
split
on
it
the
into
left
2
side.
things, or is it just one thing?
All that left side, a lot of that is all private.
I believe we can split it into 2 things. If you have like 2 roads, like one road in one place, one road.
It's gotta be the same type.
I don't feel like you're gonna go well if you want to do like a playground and also a road.
Okay.
Because that's just too different. We need to focus a little bit. So, do we have any idea how much it would cost to blacktop that?
A lot.
It's 2 miles.
You're talking 100 grand maybe, something like that?
The question they'll ask is, how many people are benefiting from that?
Well, we think the people that live in that neighborhood,
Well, I mean, it's not just the people in the neighborhood, it's like everyone coming down that road. and using
Yeah,
it,
that's a lot of people.
Lightly traveled.
Lightly traveled.
Yeah. It's very hard.
That's just something to bear in mind.
Actually, with the danger pulling out on this side of Mel Loop and turning left, I would go around that circle any day to keep from turning left.
Quick question here for you. I'm in a meeting and stuff, and I'm really.
All right, anybody else?
Ashley here, I'm trying
Any
to
ideas?
grant money going for, to fix
I have
that
some
middle of the
Facebook.
road all the way
I don't know
around.
if you want that input.
What would it cost?
I asked on Facebook.
Oh, you got it.
and a lot of community members.
Got a lot of ideas?
Everybody wants a walking track and a playground in the center of it so that moms can walk and watch their kids on the playground at the same time.
It ain't all that wide, you know what I'm saying? You know.
I had mentioned a stage, not really many people said anything about that. It's mostly just the walking track and the playground would probably be the biggest event. Somebody said pickleball,
Yeah, that's what I'm
basketball
gonna do.
court,
Exactly what I'm gonna do. All
splash
right, man.
pad.
Yeah, that's what I kind of need to rough now. All right.
I'm just going off the list of what was there.
Yeah.
The walking track and the playground, that could be
Thank you, man.
put together.
I just talked to the-
They're close enough, they could be put together, you think, or?
Yeah.
I just talked to the highway guy,
Yeah.
and he said 150,000.
Okay, a rough idea. So that's one project. So we have a playground project that's kind of been described. Playgrounds are, and like a park type projects are very common. And you could do a lot of different activities in that. You can build a pavilion, you can do a walking track, you can do a playground, you can do a picnic area.
Well, most people want it around here and stuff. I've talked to a lot of people in Morgan Head too. Want like a walking track with a playground in the middle, you know what I'm saying?
And lighted, would be lighted.
Yeah, well, we got lights anyway, we put lights
There'll
up.
be a lot of people afraid to walk up there.
So I don't know, we're talking about the community development block grant, but maybe I can mention the other grant that y'all have been working on.
Yeah.
So there's also another project, it's called Outdoor Recreation Grant. So we put in a grant application, so there's two phases, there's a pre-application and there's a full application. So we put in the pre-application to work on your park. Welcome. So we put in a pre-application to work on your park. So now we need to get more input on the park activity. So we have two different grants. Sometimes what they do is they have one grant kind of lean against the other grant, and so that the city then might not have to pay a match if one grant is providing the match for the other grant. So sometimes that happens. So if the park, you really wanted to blow out the park, and that was the number one desire of the city, you could put both grants to that purpose. So I just wanted to let you know that we have that other grant that we're working on the park. And at this point, we put in playground and pavilion.
Yeah.
So I don't think we have to
Is
walk
there a match on it?
The match on that is 50%. So for that one, we did the base for the pavilion.
Yeah, concrete this pavilion.
Concrete for that one pavilion that doesn't have it, and sidewalks, and a playground.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that was just a preliminary application, so if we wanted to try to add a walking track to that particular application, we could do it. So I hope y'all aren't getting confused by everything, because there's two grant opportunities, and we're trying to line the city up for both of them. So I guess we need to maybe just go back to the community development block grant that this meeting is about and kind of determine whether it's more of a parks project or we heard about the paving the road. Any other activities that we want to discuss?
Would diverting water be considered construction? I mean, we don't have a water problem back here. I don't know if we could use part of those funds to engineer a resolution with the water. Yeah, I was wondering where you're gonna put the track.
Just trying to get that water out of there, you can't do it. 'Cause we can't go across people's property down here to make a ditch.
Well, it would fit under community infrastructure. But it just seems like there's a bigger problem.
Right.
The city needs to resolve. And I mean, if that can be fixed before the 20th of March, we could look at it.
It won't happen. The problem is, the water needs to go across private property. And they won't let you dig across their land and stuff to open it up. Really, he's kind of stuck with a pond out here we don't want.
Yeah.
No way to.
How far back can we go before the water rises? I mean, is it clear halfway back toward that pavilion that was out there?
No. When it rains, that pavilion's 3 foot underwater.
We could bring in a lot of fill and build up.
And that's what we talk about. We talk about just bringing dirt in, just building it
I
up.
still don't think I don't think you'll be able to utilize that pavilion that's out there, because by the time you build up enough to utilize what's there, I think it's gonna have to be paired.
So it's gonna have to be.
Yeah, that pavilion's rare. It's shot.
Yeah, it looks. Yeah,
It's been 3 foot of
been
water.
down.
It's been 3 foot of water for the last years and years and years. I was out there the other day and it's shot.
So if we bring in fill and fill that back there, is it still not diverting water onto somebody else?
No, there's a levee back there.
Really?
That levee, you know, and that's why we thought about getting a pump and pumping it over, but if we did, it's just gonna flood them out. And that's why we never got a pump, because I can pump it out. I can put a pump back there and,
Oh, I was just
you
asking.
know what I'm saying? I can't put a pump and pump it out there, but if I did, it flood these houses here out. And me and Caleb went over there one day, we took Caleb's machinery over there one day, going to dig a ditch out all the way down through there. Me and Caleb go over to his house next door, and they got a sump pump in that basement, and man, it was running full blast. And if we pumped any more water over there, we'd be pumping, we'd cover these people up over here.
So we're gonna have to do that filling.
We're gonna have to fill it all up.
Do what we're wanting to do with this park.
Well, no,
Not all.
the playground stuff, we'll put it up here.
The walking track.
The walking trail.
The walking track, we would have to,
The back area for the road.
we'll have to bring some dirt in, build it up. And I own the church pit, I'll give them the church. I got a big church pit down there at the house, I'll give them the church to fill that in back there.
We just gotta get the money.
We just gotta get the money and get some, get it hauled up there.
We'll have to have someone bring dozer and compactor in, because if we just dump the dirt.
Oh, yes.
So if we apply for a grant for a walking trail after we get this dirt filled in to do this playground that we're wanting, would our playground grant lean on the walking trail?
So, yeah, we could put them together. Yeah, absolutely. And the mayor's talking about, he'd give the church, I mean, that's already a match from the city. So I think you can come up with 15% maybe just from that donation. I have no idea what the value is.
Well, church about $200 a load.
Well, I was gonna say. I had it all. Yeah, it's $300 a load.
And you talking bunch of loads,
Oh,
bunch.
Yeah, so that's the creativity, and I see that here in New Hope, probably more than anywhere else. And when I see what the mayor's done to City Hall over there, it's just day and night. So I know you had an idea of wanting to do something there, fix that up.
Well, what I want, I could do is them two big glass bays there, make a community center, plus, you know, a shelter there where people go over at storm time. You know, put a generator over there, but electricity goes off. Because this building here is concrete block, and this building right here, you don't want to be in this building if the storm comes through.
So, I mean, that's a good project for this grant too. So if you wanted to do that, you know, your old fire hall, fix that up and turn that into a community center / shelter, storm shelter, you could do that too. But I don't think that you would do that and also part of the playground, you know, you've got to choose one.
Just
So, whatever you all feel.
And that's up to the community. I mean, which one would y'all rather have, a walking track or storm shelter?
No, playground.
Playground, walking track, playground, storm shelter.
I mean, really, how many times we gonna use a storm shelter?
Versus a playground.
So how many times me and you gonna use the playground?
I don't know, my kids can do it.
Yeah, kid.
That's my gripe, and not just because I'm
And that-
here, but we always have to go to Kimball, or we have to go to South Pittsburgh. And sometimes when I drop my kids off in the morning, I go to the track at the football field in South Pittsburgh, and there's students out there, and they're staring at you like, why are you here? And it would just be nice to come over here and just walk, and I don't have to go that far.
We really need a playground, and I've pushed that ever since I've been mayor, out here for the kids and stuff, and I already said I'm gonna buy a basketball goal and stuff to put out here anyway, and stuff, you know, if I have to buy my own money, I'm gonna put the basketball goal in here where they can play basketball, you know what I'm saying? Cause there ain't nothing for the kids to do over here.
So maybe I can just bring in here, there are a lot of grants out there. There's another grant that is coming from the Department of Health. It's called Healthy Built Environment. Healthy Built Environment Grant is all about getting the community out and healthy and active. I've had grants that are funded for park projects through that, like a walking track and a bridge over a little river and stuff like that, just to get the people out and energetic and doing stuff. So, you know, that's a concept that we could also do with that grant. So what I'm saying is maybe it'd be good for the community to kind of dream a little bit. What do you want in your park? And then we can see which fits into this grant. And then whatever we didn't get there, we still want to do some basketball. Well, let's put that in the other grant. Right. You know, there's the other grant is $75,000, no match requirement for the city. So if we understand the direction the city's going, as a grant writer, I'm here to help you. So we try to stack it up as much as possible. And just for your information, we got, if you go over to, what is that? Paradise, Playground Paradise?
South Pittsburgh.
South Pittsburgh. So I wrote the grant for that. That's a tourism grant.
See, that's what made me start, because I got tired of seeing South Pittsburgh and everybody else getting grants and us not getting anything.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's time for y'all to get a grant or two, and that's what we're here to make sure happens. But so what would we want in the park? If that's going to be our direction.
My question goes back to the flooding issue, okay? And it's for you, because I don't know how it would be classified as far as drainage goes. And I understand all the problems and the flooding. Is there a component of, I don't know if it can go into the park or be considered infrastructure or whatnot, to get access across? If we could get access across the private properties to dig a ditch and put culverts through to channel the water away from the park to make it usable, is there any way to make, because it will, if it's channeled to a certain point, and the reason I say this is because we do have private properties. My family has some of the private properties farther down, closer to the river, and then it goes over other. And I've thought about this a lot because there's water that goes through pasture land, and I kid you not, there's toys and all kinds of stuff that's washed out of the ditch that carries the water into the pasture land, making it really not the greatest area. And there are times when the mud where the water stands is close to 3 feet deep in that area, in the pasture where the cattle are. And I've thought, if there was a channel through there with culverts that could be covered over with dirt to be reused as the pasture area and over private properties where the water channel's under it, is there any way that any part of these grants could be used for something like that?
So I can't speak to how it works in your community. I can just talk about grants. So there are a couple of different types of grants. One is for an engineering study of a certain problem. So you can bring out some experts that great engineers that can.
What I found out about them great engineers, they cost a great amount of money.
That's what the grant covers.
I was going to build a 2020 building out here. They wanted $30,000 just for
It's not cheap. It's called infrastructure planning grants.
That's what I was going to say.
And so if that is your top priority to figure out what happens there, we can definitely design a grant that would do it. But then there's still a community issue that needs to be, solved.
The private property goes across. He said you ain't digging across it, so you ain't digging across.
Yeah.
So.
And Mayor, there's a right to farm act in Tennessee, and you could not take property from
Not
farm.
take it.
You can't do it, it's protected.
That's what I'm saying.
Take it.
I wouldn't do it anyway.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna take it. It's everybody over here.
I don't think Rhonda meant take it.
No, not taking it. I'm talking about getting permission and then make it useful.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. If somebody tells me no, that's what I'm gonna do.
I know from my brother's perspective, where the water goes over his property and it makes a certain portion of it unuseful and in certain times unaccessible. He and I have talked about it, and we've talked about if there was any way to channel that from that deep ditch in through, the culverts, and we've discussed the cost of actually digging the ditch ourselves and paying for the culvert to channel that water through the property so that the cattle are not in peril, and they are at times. I mean, he's got a Kubota tractor, and I saw that thing buried all the way up to the back axle one day, and it started to tilt, and I thought he was going to flip because of it.
So it seems like a real concern for the community. The infrastructure planning grants, you don't have to enter the grant with a solution. You enter the grant with a problem. You say, we have a water problem in South Vista. We have a problem in New Hope. And we need to figure out this particular problem. And so we need engineering to do that.
Well, me and Caleb knows what the problem is. We tracked it down and searched it around.
So if you know what the problem is and you know what the solution is,
I can't go across nobody's property. I can't do that.
I don't know that we have a solution in terms of a grant that's going to resolve that one.
Yeah, playground's the best thing we're looking at.
The grant, a question that I had about the leaning grants.
Yeah.
If we pursue like making this city hall a shelter and a community center, if we ask for another grant for something else, it would have to be associated in that family.
Right. So if they become standalone grants, if you have one that is for
That and the
that fire
playground, they're
hall
two separate.
conversion, and then the park, those can't lean against each other.
Yeah, you have to have them in the same family,
But if
so
they're
to
in the
speak.
same family, the same activity, we have one funding source and the other funding
And then
source.
one will lean against the other and stand for it.
And that's the benefit with that one.
And that's the smartest way to ask for grants.
But like I say, there are many different ideas and concepts. So, I mean, from the community's perspective, do we have agreement that maybe the playground is our priority right now? I mean, I don't know how we do this. A show of hands or?
Yes, no.
I think so. I think we need to go for the playground equipment.
I agree.
A playground's, that's the easiest way.
That and walking track.
There's a lot of people that really wanted to walk. And somebody even said like interactive fitness, kind of like Vespers is, they have those fitness things all around you, your pull-ups, you do whatever else out there. I can't remember what's all out there, but
Do we know the age spans? I tried when I found out that we were going to meet tonight and have you as our guest. I tried to find the age groups, like for playgrounds that we have in our city. I know you guys have 4 children, but I don't. I tried to find out from the census, where they have the age of everybody in your household. So do we have a lot of children from the age, say, of 3 to 12, 14, 16?
there's just watching the school bus go by, there's a heap ton of kids.
I'm old and I know that
I was fixing to say, I see a lot of them come by the store.
I can tell you, when I was running for mayor, I knocked on a lot of doors, and you'd be surprised how many parents came to the door with kids. We got, I think the community's getting younger, actually.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
I know just on our road, there's a new couple moved in, they have 2 kids. A little on down the road, there's a couple with grandkids, and their children are living with them with those grandkids. And then I'm pretty sure, my mom, they just had another baby, so.
Yeah, we got plenty of.
What if it's only 50?
Swings.
It's for the kids.
Yeah.
So in terms of the age, probably appropriate for, maybe not the really tiny ones, or maybe not for the teenagers, but just kind of like a 6 to 12 range.
No, let's do younger, because my grandkids are younger, and they live here in Newport.
Okay. So we don't have to make that decision today.
Yeah.
When the grant's funded, and you look at the park, the playground designs.
If they're old enough to get on the slide, let them go.
Yeah. Okay, so we
We
talked.
used to slide them on metal slides, and they's hot.
No middle slides.
There are some companies that are local. One is Playcore, and you know Playcore?
Yeah, Mike does.
I had one email me.
Yeah, Mike does some work for them down there, so, I talked to the girl here a while back, that kind of got roughly, and that craft's expensive.
It's very,
It really is.
it's called all ADA.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's the reason.
yeah.
Handicap accessible.
Because-
You gotta have that.
But for these kind of grants, if you put ADA accessible, you get more points. You have to understand, because it's for the whole community. So, anybody should be able to use that, get in there. If you have a walking track, it should be wide enough for somebody with a wheelchair.
Yes.
But they use it to make it expensive. No doubt.
Yeah, but we have to think about these things, because if you do a real narrow walking trail, that's not going to cut it.
Oh, I would not think, I would want it to be wide enough for 2 people to be able to walk side by side.
Yeah, it's usually 8 feet, 6 to 8 feet.
Yeah.
And usually do it with asphalt.
Yeah.
that's another thing. We can get asphalt a little cheaper than, because we can get it through the county, because we can get it cheaper than
Concrete.
we can get asphalt cheaper than concrete.
The little kids who come with their parents want to ride on their scooter for half the track and make their mom carry it the rest of the way. They should be able to.
So this walking track, do we have any idea where we want it to go? Like behind the fire hall and?
Yeah, just make a loop, you know what I'm saying? Right here.
So what, like a quarter mile or something?
I don't know how
Some
long.
people were talking about
You know
instead
how
of
long
just
they
making
draw
like
it?
a
You
perfect
draw it up on your
circle or
map?
something to do zigzags and
Do kind of like a,
You can make it long.
like a little path.
Yeah,
Yeah, a little entertaining.
you can make it any kind of shape you want, you know?
Like a snake.
That was your mother. Bridget. Stacy wants it.
She also wants a memorial thing done.
Yeah, she suggested like a memorial, we could either get little plaques to put on like benches along the way, or get like bricks in a certain part of the track to put loved ones' names on there and things like that. But-
So you're almost going down like a sponsorship idea. So I know Dunlap did, I don't know if you go up that way, but they have their their park where they
Their
like,
stage, their track, their splash pad.
well, not that one, but they're for the memorial, for the war memorial. Everyone, came and donated, $100 to have their name there, or corporate sponsors were, I think, maybe $500 to $1,000. So if you all want to do that way, you could start adding to the grant application. You can say, we're going to do some, chairs, and if you want to do a little monument or something like that that's connected with it. Any kind of these ideas just adds to the community flavor of what you're doing. It's about y'all. So, any ideas like that, let them come out.
And the benches are a great idea, because people go out for a walk, and I come from a medical background, and things happen. And they have to sit down and rest or whatever. And it could be a lifesaver just to have a bench to sit down on.
Well, the benches can be in the grant, but then if you need extra benches, that can be a community project. So far, we're talking about walking track, we're talking playground, talking about, what about the foundation for the pad for the pavilion? You in agreement on that? Is there anything we want to go under the pavilion? Do we need any, like, tables or chairs or picnic?
We're going to leave this in kind of open where we have a farmer's market. We have a farmer's market, once a month when it starts getting pretty, and that way everybody can come out here and put their stuff under.
I would call the walking track about half a mile.
Half a mile.
I mean, it makes it simple.
I didn't know.
I mapped it out around, if you go down all the way to the trees and then come back up by the levee and over to this side of the park and then behind, it's right at half a mile.
Okay. So what about parking area?
It's gonna need something.
Yeah, somebody did mention.
I hear this side right here, what we was talking about doing the parking out here, blacktopping it.
Blacktopping, extending any or just blacktop?
Just blacktopping.
Yeah, probably just like that.
We got the place out here, we just need to get it
Probably
black.
wouldn't hurt to bring it to the end of the building right here.
Well, we can't.
Can't do that.
Why?
No store or anything else out there.
We talked about like a fence to where it's not going to be open all night long, so that people aren't out here destructing and causing mischief.
One what about lighting?
Yeah, well, maybe
That can really,
they close it, so you don't need any lights.
a fence is expensive, so I don't know what your,
Yeah.
if that's your priority, you need to really budget for it
Put
because,
up a sign that says
I mean,
open
we
from
can do
sun up
that.
to
We can do the fence
sundown.
later. The lighting would be better than the fence.
Yeah,
Yes, the lighting.
The lighting was better.
and I feel like you're right behind the fire hall. That's also, you know, in the city hall's right there. I mean, people are coming around here.
Yeah.
And it's not like a really abandoned.
Well, once we get everything filled in, you'll be able to see all the way to the back, so.
And we'll put cameras out there too. Anyway,
Okay, so then we need to,
we got cameras out here and stuff, so.
some cameras and lighting.
Yeah, we,
Yeah, we get the co-op to donate street light
I doubt it.
So how many lights would you say, how many poles?
I'm drawing it, you go around on it.
Talk about for the playground.
Just for
Well,
right
would
now.
you have it probably around your walking track here and there, right?
Yes.
I don't know.
Cormorant, how light you have.
That's a lot of electrical work.
Like, are we talking like the big light poles, like the ones we had cut off?
No,
Or
we'd be talking about
like
those
cute
fancy
little,
looking-
yeah, okay, maybe five or
So
six.
you're talking $1.5 million, what you're talking about. I'd have one like 100 foot.
Best thing to do, Carrie, if you wanna walk at night, bring your flashlight.
But lighting on the park or on the playground area.
So maybe have a pole next to the playground, maybe somewhere like right between these pavilions if you wanted to do like a birthday something at night. Sound good?
So
We did talk about like a Halloween trick or treat along the track, and everybody set up like a trunk or treat along the
Yeah,
track.
so we put the playground out here, and we got lights on the back of the building. I had LED lights put all out the backside, so it's all bright at night.
Okay, so you're already halfway there, right?
Yeah. We put all LED lights all the way around the building now. Put LED lights
They're
in there.
bright. That one for the 4th of July, just about.
That's all. That's all.
There was, well, yeah, but it wasn't then.
It
Well,
wasn't,
and
yeah. But the rest of these on that, right? But yeah, we can take care of the lighting problems. That ain't gonna be, we can take care of that. No problem. We can work around that.
Okay. Any other comments or thoughts or ideas you'd like to express? No.
Disability access, is that something we would need to discuss about, or is that just gonna go in your plan?
So probably if you're having this blacktop, you want to have 188 accessible parking place. And so that's just like a little bit wider so that a wheelchair can get out and whatever.
Yeah.
And then have like a little, you have your path extend your loop, you know, so you're not walking across grass till you get to your walking track, so that kind of thing. Okay, well, I think we've done it. Did everyone get a chance to sign in?
Everybody had to sign in, sign this book right here, please.
Yeah, this is a great turnout, and I really appreciate
The more interest you
y'all.
have, the more likely we are to get the grant. If you don't sign it, then it just looks like nobody was here to care about it.
So, yeah, and I appreciate that. So I think the way we're going to need to go about this is to send out a survey. So when you see something come in the mail, it's nobody trying to check up on you, or we're not trying to do anything. People are so scared sometimes. Be like, people knocking on their front door. They're like, "Who are you? Why are you here?" What, you know? You get a piece of mail in the mail, and you're like, "If I don't recognize it, I'm just going to throw it away." So what we sometimes do is we ask for the city to attach a little letter. It helps us with our park project if you just can answer a couple of questions. It's not much, to answer. It's 2-3 questions. And we have an envelope on the inside with a stamp already on it, so it comes straight back. So if y'all could just, what's that? I'll work on that.
Oh, okay.
I'll work with you on that. We'll get those letters, get the letterhead, get it
Yeah,
set.
that'd be a good idea, because that way people, if you tell them we try and work on this grant for this project, they probably might look at it differently than we'll just junk mail.
Yeah, if y'all could get the word out too and tell people it's coming.
And I don't know, like, a good place to do that is a church on Sunday, have a stack of those out at the back, people can just do it while they're there. Other thing, if they come to City Hall, you have a stack of those letters there.
They can come by
Just fill
and
this
see
thing out.
That'd be great.
I'll find out exactly how many you need. When we hit that number, probably around 200, we'll stop.
Yeah, and what we'll do, we'll get them out, we'll get them dispersed and stuff.
Mayor, can we pick them up? We got several members.
Yeah, what I'm saying, we can get them where people can pick them up at City Hall and stuff.
Right.
I'd like to add something about the park. My family and I, we started the project of the Voice for the Voiceless, where we done the communication boards throughout all Marion County. I didn't come to New Hope because I knew New Hope didn't have a park at the time. But since you starting to do the park, it was something we look into because our grandson Britton, he is autistic and he's nonverbal. And these communication boards, what they do is we were trying to come up with ways, and my wife, I give her all the credit because she was actually the one that done it, was little pictures we started putting on the refrigerator where he could go to the refrigerator and point out what he wanted. And then we got to thinking this past year was like, hey, there's none of that in the parks. And when he goes play, other kids don't play with him because he's nonverbal and he can't express anyway. So we came up with a way that we've designed this communication board where he could go up to that board, or any child, anybody that has that can't speak or anything, they can go in, they can pick these little pictures and explain to you what's happened, whether they're sad or they want to go play basketball or they want to go play on the swings. And it really took off, and we got all the parks out in Marion County so far in every city to do it. And like I say, the last one I did was in Orem, and now we went to the churches, and our church, Whitwell Church of God, put one in their playground.
Does Orem have a park?
They have a little small one.
More we got.
I love that.
And like I say, I've got all the information.
Yeah, and get with Morgan here and give her your number, and she'll give you her number, and we'll do something like that.
Yeah, I got a lady that will do it. She makes the sign. She made the sign for our church, and she was a little bit cheaper, saving on shipping wise and stuff.
Yeah, we'll
if we get this grant, so we'll be glad to do it.
And what's good for the grant is to talk about the community interest in this. So can I just get your name?
Travis Lane.
Travis Lane.
L-A-Y-N.
Okay, so if I could just add that to the grant, saying this is an example of community interest, yeah, that'd be good.
So the deadline March, right?
March 20.
So when does they usually decide on it?
That's really slow, really slow.
The government.
So this last time, we had a change in president. So that also made it incredibly slow. So usually it's around August that you hear an answer, yes or no.
Same year next year.
And then, same year, August 2026.
Valid question.
This past year was November, so I just want to let you know. So August probably, and then after that, they'd have to sign a contract, and that takes a couple more weeks. And so I know sometimes the mayor wants to move ahead with different projects and so forth. I want to just warn you that the activities that you do before the grant is started, they don't want to cover that cost in the grant. So if y'all want to move ahead with that, walking trail before, we'd probably say hold off on that.
Yeah, we won't do that
until the grant's in place and the contract's ready.
But we could work on, say, moving the dirt or something like that.
Moving the dirt, anything like that, absolutely.
But you said that would count on people.
So we need to value that. We need to, this is something I can work with the mayor on, and how many loads.
Still counting prior to the grant then?
Well, you don't want to do it prior, you want.
I thought that's what you said.
You want to make sure you get the grant first.
Let me check on that, because if it's, I think we should wait till the grant. But I'm just thinking about summertime. Let me just double check. I'm going to ask the question. Okay. So once we have a little, our list of activities, then we need to get engineer out and then do a preliminary engineering report. Usually we do it for free for the city. And then we're ready to go. Great. Awesome. Okay. Very good. I appreciate y'all. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Appreciate you coming down here and thanking me.
Appreciate it.